And welcome to the pre-council meeting for the Bellevue City Council, Monday, June 23rd. First item, Kay, could you please call roll?
Mr. Carmichael. Mrs. Saniuk.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
Mr. Knutson. Mr. Preister.
Here.
Mrs. Blood.
Present.
Item 2, this meeting will be conducted according to the Open Meetings Act, posted in the entry to the council chambers. Item 3, additional items. 3A, employee years of service recognition for June. Is Karen Jackson available?
She is.
I don't think we have an employee here today.
Oh.
There's one on her way, but I know she's not coming, but I would like to still say their name. Okay. Yes, between our volunteer firefighters, which we have a lot of this time, and then with the flooding and a lot of debris to clean up by our city employees, they had to be excused. So the one-year firefighters are Edward Walter, Brandon Ariza, Justin Anderson, Connor Matthews, Andrew Berry, Joseph Laughlin, Timothy Pohl, David Friend, Michael Bodenchamp, Andrew Kuva, Donald Allison, Hadley Cooksley, Michael Myers, John Spence, Clinton McCarthy, and Caleb Larson. So we'll pass their certificates to the chief to give to our one-year anniversary firefighters. Our 10-year anniversary is John Hamby. He's not here. He's from our wastewater department, so we'll pass his on. And our 15-year from the police department, Zeb Simones, I'm sorry. So Zeb is not here, nor is Harold Hessig. They're both 15-year employees. And I don't see our library director here. Okay, Guadalupe Meyer is his 25th year anniversary. And then we have one employee who made it. Laurel, come forward. Laurel Gardner from our Human Service Department. You can hand yourself your certificate. Okay, this is her 15-year anniversary. So we want to thank Laurel. Thank you.
And Phyllis, stay here. There's that.
Yep, and we'll take your picture. So that's everybody, and we'll get the certificates to those who weren't able to be here.
I'm the only one.
You're the only one who made it.
You're all about the same size. Smile, Laura. Smile.
Tickle.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Item 3B, City Administrator's Report. Mr. Berlowitz is not here this afternoon. You have that in your report. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the administrator's report, I appreciate, and I'm sure Larry will pass it along too, having the additional departments, like this time recreation is in there, and we keep adding things. So I like that. It's helpful. I appreciate that. One of the other items that's in it is the strategic plan updates. But we're halfway through the year, and it doesn't say what's happened, where we are with that process. So I think it would be helpful for each of the departments to give us in the next report or the one after that, kind of a midpoint. Have we gotten halfway? Where are we with all of those? Since there are priorities, it would just be nice to see where we stand. And then the other thing, this year, I'm hoping we do the strategic planning in the current calendar year rather than it being carried over and being in the next year. So I think the first step to that is setting a date. So if we could set a date, probably a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Mondays and Fridays obviously don't work well. Thursdays tend to get backed up for the week. So maybe early December, a Tuesday or Wednesday, pick the date, see when everybody can be there, and get it on the calendar. If we wait much longer, it isn't going to be on the calendar, then we're into the holidays, and then it doesn't happen until January or February.
We'll see that Mr. Berlowitz gets these, and we'll...
And I can send him an email too, but I didn't know he wasn't going to be here, so. But I thought it would be good to say it here, that way if other people had issues too, that would be good. And then Mike Francis is usually here. I saw on his report, he mentioned two things that I would like a little more information on. One, He said there were tree issues discussed, and there was row and code mowing issues discussed, but it gives us no information about what was discussed, what was happening, was there a problem? So if I could get some information on that, and you can even email me, or if anybody else wants, I can forward it to them too, but it would just be helpful, because I'm interested in what happens with the trees and the right-of-way and the mowing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Preister. We'll be sure to take care of that. Are there any other questions, concerns? We'll move on to item number 4, review and discussion without action of items on the agenda of the regular council meeting this evening at 6 p.m. Begin with item number 3, approval of minutes and advisory committee reports. 3A, approval of agenda. B, approval of consent agenda. C, approval of the minutes of the June 9th regular and pre-council of the City Council. Item 4, approval of claims. 5, special presentations. 5A, John Tresac Emeritus, Investment Corp., presentation of proposed bond issue. 5A, ordinance number 3771. Item number 6, liquor license. 6A, Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. A question for our clerk, Kay DeMast. Kay, I notice on each of these, and I've been noticing for some time, when the Liquor Control Commission addresses you, they address village clerk. Has the Liquor Control Commission not realized Bellevue has a population of 52,000 people and we're no longer a village?
I brought that to their attention, probably 8-10 years ago, and they just don't change it.
Okay,
Sorry.
not your fault, and I appreciate you bringing it to their attention, and they should do that. Thank you.
Item 6B, Quick Trip 586. C, R&J Enterprise, Inc. We have under 6 liquor license. Move on to item 7, ordinance for adoption, 3rd reading. 7A, ordinance number 3769, vacating right-way. B, ordinance number 3770, authorizing the sale of the west side of Daniel Farms. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris, how many acres in total? I'm catching you off guard, but if you don't know now, you can let me, but about how many acres is that plot
That we're selling to them?
that we're selling? Right, just that carved
I think
out
it's
portion.
I want to say 90. I can,
Seemed like it was under 100.
I think
but
so. I can check for sure.
Okay, because we did change some and we added a little bit, and I'm just not sure how much.
Well, that's just a little piece that's
That's
part
just
of
a
lot,
segment.
that's part of lot 2, but we're also selling
Right.
lot 1 and the 2 outlots.
Right.
A and B. Mr. Buckley.
And I spoke with Pat Sullivan earlier today, and he'll be at tonight's meeting, but regarding this item, he is waiting for a new legal description for that purchase, and if we don't get it before the meeting tonight, he's gonna ask that it's postponed until we get that legal description.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I wonder if Mr. Dunn would know the total of that. I hate to put him on the spot. Okay. Oh. Mr. David Dunn. Yes, there's a question on the west side of Danielle's Farms Part Lot 2, Lot 1, and outlots A and B with a total of acres.
I think the total was, the usable acres was like 78,
Usable.
but we still had to get something back and I hadn't seen it. I wasn't in the middle of that, but we had to get something back from the developer's engineer. The surveyor had to survey that little thumb portion of it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunn. We'll see what Mr. Sullivan has this evening. Thank you. Are there any other questions for 7B? Move on to item 8, none, 9, none, 10, None. 11, resolutions. 11A, Resolution 2014-19. Mr. Cook.
Chris, are these new fees or just increases in a fee? Because I didn't see any cross out of any, like, lower fees.
They are fees that were part of the previous Papio Creek Watershed Partnership. They are new to Bellevue. I'm not sure what happened 5 years ago, and why they weren't implemented at the time. Other jurisdictions have been charging them for this time period, for the last 5 years. They are new to Bellevue, though.
Is the dollar amounts similar to the other cities in Sarpy County?
They're all the same. Everybody is charging the same that's in the Papio Creek Watershed Partnership.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions for 11A? See none. Number 12, current business. 12A, acknowledge the nomination of Sharon Hammerlin for reappointment to the Bellevue Bridge Commission. B, acknowledge the nomination of Christine Smith for appointment to the Planning Commission. C, acknowledge the nomination of Bill Richards for appointment to the Civil Service Commission. D, approval of amendment to joint development agreement between the City of Bellevue and Bellevue Hotel Associates. Mr. Cook.
I just got a real quick question for Tim. I didn't quite understand what this was accomplishing, what this was correcting.
I added in the packet the original language, which I highlighted in yellow behind the amendment, and that'll show you what the original looks like. And we're just adding, after the word purchase agreement, we're adding the words with seller or an affiliate of seller. That paragraph just failed to identify the seller, not changing anything substantively in the agreement. It's just a small omission that we need to fix.
Okay, thank you.
12E, recommendation for acceptance of low bid for demolition of structure at 7606 South 26th Street. 12F, recommendation for acceptance of low bid for demolition of structures on 7616 South 28th Street. G, approve the contract with OPPD to provide fire and rescue training to the OPPD Fire Brigade. H, approval of contract with UNMC Physicians Group for medical direction services. I, council directed 2-year review of ordinance number 3577, 3680, and 3580. 12J, approval of participation in the Nebraska Community Energy Alliance and CEA interlocal agreement. No other questions? I'll take us back to our pre-council meeting agenda. Item 5, executive session. Ms. Sanyuk.
For the protection of the public interest, I move that we go into executive session to discuss real estate negotiations for city properties located at 2216 through 2218 Franklin Street and 210 through 204 West Mission Ave.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Blood. Any discussion? See none, please vote. Thank you.
All voted yes.
Thank you. It is now 1:46, where we will go into executive session, where our discussion will be restricted to as stated by Ms. Sanyuk. Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to the Bellevue City Council meeting, June 23rd, 2014. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please rise, and please remain standing for the invocation by Reverend Lowell Nelson, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, 104 Galvin Road North. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've learned to love Bellevue. I've been serving the last 3 years here, living in Elkhorn, where our son has gone to school, but he's now graduated. I'm coming here, And my wife is a realtor, and she said the boundaries around here are kind of difficult to know when you're in Bellevue. And I kept on saying, I just want to live in Bellevue. Okay, so that'll be the theme of our message here. Dear God, we give thanks that we live in Bellevue, and we live in ways that are profound, important ministries and mission here, important people, old, young, all of us gathered using our schools to invest into the next generation, God. I ask that all decisions here promote life. I ask that the strength of this community, more than just simply being taxpayers, but being citizens of this community known as Bellevue, the oldest community in our state. I ask a special blessing for the representatives here elected by our fellow citizens. I ask a blessing for clarity of thought, for clear communication, for trust, worthy actions, and the pride in a job well done for all who want to live in Bellevue. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Nilsson. Item number 2, Kate, could you please call roll?
Mr. Carmichael?
Here.
Mrs. Saniuk?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Knutson?
Here.
Mr. Preister?
Here.
Mrs. Blood?
Present.
Thank you. Item 2A, this meeting will be conducted according to the Open Meetings Act, posted in the entry to the council chambers. Item 3, approval of minutes and advisory committee reports. 3A, approval of agenda. Councilwoman Blood.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. 3B, approval of consent agenda. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Blood. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 3C is under consent. Item 4, also consent. Item number 5, special presentation. 5A, John Tresac Emeritus Investment Corp., presentation of proposed bond issue to finance the convention center project. John Tresac is not here this evening, but we have Jay Spearman, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. What you have before, and John Tresac apologizes for not being able to be here tonight. It was kind of unavoidable. What you have in front of you is an ordinance, parameters, ordinance authorizing the issuance of bonds by the Bellevue City Municipal Building Corporation. The ordinance states that bonds cannot be issued in the amount exceeding $6,875,000. Also keep in mind that the building corporation will also have to meet and approve the issuance of bonds.
Are there any questions for Mr. Spearman? I see none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5A has ordinance number 3771. Kay, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 3771, an ordinance authorizing the approval of building bonds, convention center project of the City of Bellevue, City Municipal Building Corporation, in one or more series in an aggregate stated principal amount not to exceed $6,875,000, authorizing approval of one or more bond purchase agreements, providing for the sale of the bonds to the underwriter, authorizing a lease purchase agreement and any necessary addenda with the City of Bellevue City Municipal Building Corporation relating to the acquisition and construction of certain convention center facilities, authorizing the approval and execution of documents with respect to said lease purchase agreement and bonds, and providing for the publishing of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Thank you. Also, the city attorney requests that the statutory rule requiring reading on 3 different days be suspended, the public hearing held, and vote taken at this meeting. So I'll now open for public hearing on this item. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Saniuk.
In order to acquire today's finance rates, I move that we suspend the rule requiring reading on 3 different days, hold a public hearing, and take a vote at this meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Knutson. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. I'll now open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on item 3771, please do so at this time. See none, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Sullivan.
Just want to mention that in the ordinance that you have in your packet, they've got the Municipal Building Corporation's name is wrong, so we're having that corrected. So it is correct on the agenda. So in your motion to adopt ordinance number 3771, if that would be with the Bellevue City Municipal Building Corporation in your motion.
Ms. Sanyuk.
Motion to approve ordinance number 3771, authorizing the approval of building bonds for the Convention Center project of the City of Bellevue City Municipal Building Corporation for the amount not to exceed $6,875,000.
Second.
Second by Mr. Knutson. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
Vote is 5-1, motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, liquor license. 6A, Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites, manager application for Katie L. Schaefer for the Class 1 80553 liquor license at 10804 South 15th Street in Bellevue. Welcome. You could state your name and sign in, please.
My name is Katie Schaefer.
Welcome, Ms. Schaefer. Are there a few words you'd like to say? Anything that I haven't said?
Nope, I'm just the general manager at the Holiday Inn Express here in town.
Welcome. If you want to step aside, I'll open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time. See none, I'll close the public hearing. What are the wishes of council? Councilwoman Blood.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to recommend approval to the Nebraska Liquor Commission for Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites for their manager's application for Katie Schaefer for the Class 1 80553 liquor license at 10804 South 15th Street in Bellevue.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cook. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. 6B, Quick Trip 586, manager application for Brock Thornton for the Class D 43524 liquor license at 1311 Fort Cook Road in Bellevue. Do we have someone here from Quick Trip? Please come forward, state your name, and please sign in.
Brock Thornton.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say that I haven't already said?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time. See none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilwoman Blood.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to recommend approval to Nebraska Liquor Commission for Quick Trip 586 for their manager's application for Brock Thornton for the Class D 43524 liquor license at 1311 Fort Crook Road in Bellevue.
Second.
Second by Mr. Knutson. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6C, R&J Enterprise, Inc., application for special designated liquor license for Jammers Pub, 1505 Galvin Road in Bellevue, from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. on July 19th, 2014, for a beer garden in the parking lot in front of the business. Welcome.
I'm Rick Corbin, owner and operator of Jammers Pub on Galvin Road.
Thank you. If you could please sign in. I'll open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time. for anyone? See none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilwoman Blood?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to recommend approval to Nebraska Liquor Commission for R&J Enterprises for their application for a special designated liquor license for Jammers Pub, 1505 Galvin Road in Bellevue from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. on July 19th, 2014, specifically for a beer garden in the parking lot in front of the business.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sanyuk. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 7, ordinance for adoption, third reading. 7A, ordinance number 3769. Kate, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 3769, an ordinance declaring the necessity, expediency, and propriety of vacating right-way abutting lots 1 and 2, Bellevue College Edition, located in the southeast quarter of Section 26, Township 14 North, Range 13 east of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, not heretofore vacated, repealing all ordinances and all parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and designating an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Preister?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve ordinance number 3769.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Blood. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 7B, ordinance number 3770. Kate, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 3770, an ordinance providing for the sale of a certain described real estate, same being that part of Lot 2 in the northwest corner of approximately 3.83 acres, outlots A and B, and Lot 1, Daniels Farm Edition. A subdivision is surveyed, platted, and recorded in Sarpy County, Nebraska, directing the conveyance of such real estate and the manner and terms thereof, and designating an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
On this one, since it's been read twice, we did some corrections, made the legal more specific. So if we could have a motion to approve the ordinance and then a motion to amend the ordinance with the corrected legals.
Mr. Preister?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve ordinance number 3779.
Second.
Zero.
770.
770.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Knutson. Mr. Preister?
And then I would move to amend with the corrections that have been added as outlined by our attorney.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Blood. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Now we need to vote on the ordinance as amended. Ms. Sanyuk?
Oh, already got a motion, sorry.
So, any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item number 8, none. 9, none. 10, public hearing on matters other than ordinance, none. Number 11, resolutions. 11A, resolution number 2014-19, amending the master fee schedule to add Papio Creek Watershed Partnership fees. Ms. Sanyuk?
Motion to approve resolution number 2014-19.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mr. Carmichael. Welcome. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 12, current business. 12A, B, C, and D is under consent agenda. Takes us to item 12E. Recommendation for acceptance of low bid for demolition structure at 7606 South 26th Street. Ms. Sanyuk?
Motion to approve the low bid from Polonsic Construction for demolition of structures at 7606 South 26th Street at a cost of $9,250.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. F, recommendation for acceptance of low bid for demolition for structure at 7616 South 28th Street. Mr. Sullivan?
I had several discussions with the architect Rock Gladbach on this. When we last left this, the discussion was, there was a motion to extend it for 2 weeks, and that motion failed, and direction was given to go get bids. Mr. Christensen went and got bids. Also in that meeting, I think I said that he could still submit anything that he wanted to, and it would be up to you whether you wanted to take any action on that or delay anything on this construction demolition. So Mr. Gladbach's here if you'd like to have him discuss it. Again, the materials and everything that was supposed to be in were supposed to be in May 31st, and it was, for lack of a better term, a last-ditch effort perhaps to try to convince you to do something differently. You guys can do whatever you want with it. We're okay with the way that it's set up. I just wanted to kind of let you know what was going on in the background.
Councilman Flood.
I just want to share with the council, and I'm sure, Steve, you probably got some of these calls as well. I received multiple calls from people thanking me that we're finally doing something with this property. The neighbors are tired of looking at it after many years. They feel that they've had to call the police unnecessarily. And I can't speak on behalf of the police, but this is what I was told by the citizens, that they've seen activity there that concerns them. They feel that it's devalued the cost of their property. In fact, one gal did read her property values to me and said that they had gone down quite progressively, and they felt that part of that was because of this piece of property that adjoined their properties. So I just wanted to let people know that that was within the last 2 weeks since our last meeting, and I did receive multiple calls, and none of them were in favor of keeping this building around.
Mr. Carmichael.
Thank you, Mayor. I too have received calls, and this has been going on for such a long time, and we gave the owner extension after extension. Even at this point, gave him extensions to provide us documents that we asked him to provide us, and we never received them. So at this point in time, I can't support any further discussion about this.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I have also taken complaint calls. I have had opportunity to be in the building years ago and have seen the condition it had been in then already, and it hasn't been corrected in 17 years or so, so I don't see much hope. My understanding that a potential new developer who may have been interested was expecting to meet lower standards than current standards. And so I don't know that we have anybody even available to fully meet all current standards. And I have seen nothing in writing or nothing that would lead me to think differently. So I too have no reason to do anything other than to approve this bid tonight.
Do we have a motion? Mr. Carmichael.
I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation and accept the low bid for demolition of the structure at 7616 South 28th Street.
Second.
Will you put the name and the low bid amount in?
Yes, sir. Vanderson Excavating Company for a low bid of $64,200.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Knutson. Any further discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 12G, approval of contract with OPPD to provide fire and rescue training to the OPPD Fire Brigade. Mr. Knutson.
I'll make a motion, we approve the contract with OPPD to provide fire and rescue training to the OPPD Fire Brigade.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Blood. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. 12H, approval of contract with UNMC Physicians Group for medical direction service. Councilman Blood.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with UNMC Physicians Group for medical direction services for our fire department.
Second.
Second by Mr. Knutson. Any discussion? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. 12J, approval of participation in the Nebraska. 12I, council directed 2-year review of ordinance numbers 3577, 3680, and 3580. Mr. Cook.
I'll make a motion that we approve the two-year review of ordinances 3577, 3680, and 3580.
Second.
Second by Council.
Why these are on here is the council was concerned about whether they were gonna work, and if you feel that they're working, then I suppose the review's complete, and we can move on with that motion. There is some references to the marina that it don't hurt that they're in there, but we can certainly do that as a cleanup measure later.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this was basically when we passed it allowing alcohol consumption down there, that we wanted to see if there were problems, to see if there were issues, concerns. It's a good idea, but unfortunately, most of that time has been under flood, and the land drank too much, but the people couldn't drink at all. So we really don't have anything to base it on, but things have changed. It's still good. In a couple years, it probably would be good to just check and see how it's going anyway. But at this point, yeah, I don't think we have any action we really need to take.
Actually, it was 4 years ago that they were adopted, and you put the 2-year review on. And so 2 years ago, you reviewed it, and we were right in the middle of the flood. And that's when you came back with how about reviewing it at this time, 2 years later. So are you saying let's review it again in 2 years?
I guess the reason why I made it a motion was because it talked about changes actually too, eliminating the marina, changing the hours of consumption. So I guess maybe I misunderstood that.
Those hours of consumption and so forth, those were the changes that were made in the ordinance.
They've already been made.
Okay.
Was made in the ordinance at that time. There's probably nothing wrong with the motion, and we can just go ahead and approve it.
I'm almost scared that we have another 2-year review on it, that we'll have a 2-year flood again.
So we accept the motion.
So accept the motion and vote.
Did we get a second on that? Mr. Preister?
Second.
Any discussion? See none, please vote. Ms. Damass, did you?
I
Kay,
just
did you have?
hope I can figure out what the motion was.
To approve the review.
They approved the review.
Okay. Is there any direction on whether or not to submit an amending ordinance to do away with the Bellevue Marina?
I'll just go ahead and do that on my own initiative.
Okay. So the votes that are on here are still accurate, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
All voted yes.
thank you. 12J, approval of participation in the Nebraska Community Energy Alliance, NCEA, interlocal agreement for participation in the Nebraska Environmental Trust Grant for electric vehicles and an electric charging station. Mr. Burks, did you want to say?
Yes. Yes, Ann McCollister is here to talk to us about Nebraska Community Energy Alliance and some of the initiatives that we are going to be partaking in.
Would you like me to sign in?
Yes, please.
Please. Thank you and welcome.
Welcome. My name is Ann McCollister. I own Electric Transportation Partners, but of more importance is the fact that I've been helping local governments in Nebraska since 2010 develop a statewide initiative to promote and to support electrified transportation in Nebraska. It started with the interest from the Nebraska City County Management Association, which is a professional organization of public administrators. And so it is through Mr. Berlowitz and through Mr. Burks, who Mr. Berlowitz tasked to be on this initiative, that I was invited tonight to help you understand the context in which this is taking place and the happy circumstances of a really generous Nebraska Environmental Trust to the city managers. The Nebraska Community Energy Alliance is the legal entity that the consortium of communities is organizing as the best vessel to both execute the 2014 grant, to bring in new partners for a 2015 grant, and to be a repository for many, many, many communities in Nebraska who do not have the resources to find their own funding for this statewide initiative. Bellevue has one, but many communities do not, and it's considered a statewide public benefit. U.S. member nation of the world, the whole world is converting and diversifying its over-reliance on gasoline to a diverse array of transportation fuels. And electricity is low cost, stable in price. In Nebraska, we own it. We've invested in it for 150 years. And so this consortium of communities we started with 49 folks in 2010 who wanted to have charging stations at their locations. So we received and asked for and received $403,000 from the Entrust on a 50% local match for electric vehicles and charging stations. And a partner is University of Nebraska Lincoln. There's a professor of electrical engineering at your Durham School and PKI here who will be looking at economic and air quality benefits. So that's the background. Any questions? I'm really here as a resource for you.
Questions from the council? See none. Thanks, Ms. McAllister.
You're most welcome.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the participation in the Nebraska Community Energy Alliance interlocal agreement for participation in the Nebraska Environmental Trust Grant for electric vehicles and electric charging stations.
Second.
Second by Ms. Saniak. Any discussion? See none, please vote. Thank you. Takes us to item number 13, public requests to be heard. Any member of the public addressing the council shall abide by council policy resolution number 35 regarding the principles of conduct and decorum, which states any statement made during the city council meeting by the mayor, members of the city council, city officials and employees, or members of the general public shall not involve impertinent or slanderous attacks on individuals, regardless of whether the individual so attacked is an elected official, a city official, or employee, or a member of the general public. And City Code Section 2-68 regarding the matters of addressing the council. Copies of the aforementioned rules are posted outside the council chambers. Speakers shall limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Is there anyone here from the general public would like to be heard?
Good evening. Chuck Frederick, 1511 Madison Street. First thing I want to do is that I want to thank Chief Elgert and his son that he went out and volunteered out to Pillager last Friday. Anybody else who went out there and volunteered or gave items or money, I know it was really appreciated. I think we have a great city and a great state that will go about trying to help our neighbors. People ask me a lot of things about, because they know I come to meetings all the time and speak, and they ask me various questions. One question was, gentleman asked me if on the dredge, if it was sold, and I think it was, but his concern was if it was sold, he thought the money that was used to pay for that was out of Community Betterment Fund, and he felt that if it was out of there and you receive money, it should go back in there. The other thing people ask me much more than one, who ask me why I'm treated differently than the other speakers that come up here and speak. And I could speculate the reasons why, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to give you some examples of how it has happened. About 3 meetings ago, even though I've asked numerous times about the $540,000 that the that the fire chief wanted the city to collect. I got no response until about 4 meetings ago. Then all of a sudden, they wanted me to prove it. Well, I got the evidence, I got the proof, I was going through it at that time when, and my 5 minutes were up, and at that time, instead of having me allowed to ask for more time, the person in charge of the meeting wanted the police chief to escort me out of the building. That was entirely wrong, and that's one thing that you have all these rules about how you want us to speak to you, but yet we're not treated many times as through how you treat us, and that's one example right there. Now, of that $540,000, only, according to the police fire chief, that only about 2% was collected, and there wasn't, none of that was cash flow billing at all. It was, they had billed and collected everything that they billed. Nothing was sent to the fire department. In fact, Eugene Curtin wrote an article about them collecting 99% of the money, and that article's on my website if people want to look at it. The other thing that happened during that time was that obviously I got my message across, but it took like 2 years of asking about that $540,000. But the other thing that happened too is that after the last meeting, I talked to the person who ran the meeting, and that person said that what I should do is ask for more time before my 5 minutes is up. That's never been done before, and that's not the protocol at all. And in fact, last meeting, after I spoke, another gentleman spoke after me, spoke more than 5 minutes. And if that was the case, then that same person should have asked the police chief to escort him out too. So I think it's time that we start treating everybody here fair, and from that standpoint, and I just kind of feel that it's time that I follow the rules, but you people don't follow the rules. Another example is that the way it is right now, I don't mind you changing if you want to talk after I talk, but I want to be able to respond. So I don't think you should have the last word when the rule says there should be no response. We've had a councilperson come down here at the podium and speak. We've had a appointed official come up here and speak after I've spoken, a couple of them, in fact, and that's not the way it should be. If you're gonna have the rules for me, let's have the rules for you also. If you want to change the rules, I'd be more than glad to discuss any situation, or if you want to put them on the agenda, then I'll be more than glad to discuss them too. But I hope you follow the rules from now on. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Julie Garrett. And I apologize. I try and keep up on council business, but sometimes I miss something. So if this has already been addressed, stop me. Neighbors and acquaintances in our area that we live, which is unincorporated Bellevue, have been talking quite a bit lately about the discussion a while back about the member-at-large position being dissolved. And I personally have not heard an answer or any kind of discussion about whether this is going to happen or not. And since we're in an area where we are represented by, excuse me, the member-at-large, we're not allowed to vote for mayor or for anyone else. That is the one voice that we are allowed to vote for. And so we're asking the questions. Number one, is this position going to be dissolved? Number two, if it is, then what happens? Is the area redistricted so that we do have a council member who is representing us, or is it just stay as is so that we're pretty much left out in the cold? So I think it's getting to the point, because this was brought up so long ago, that possibly someone could answer this question. If it's a no or a yes, then discussion on it, but it's There's a lot of people talking about it, and I think maybe, and there's been a lot of individuals over the last few months who have asked this question, and we all would like an answer. Thank you.
Are there others that would like to speak?
Let's see here. My name is Lori Bonner. I live at 3316 Jason Drive. And I am here to quickly discuss, and thank you for listening, fireworks in Bellevue. June 25th is fast approaching, and that's the day that they go on sale, and that's the day that people are allowed to start discharging them. And I have a couple of questions. First of all, I guess I want to know why June 25th. Is it an arbitrary date? Is there some significance? Was it something set by the state law? I'd like to know that. I'd also like to know why December 31st? Why are fireworks still allowed on December 31st? That's not a holiday. It's not even Independence Day, which is what we traditionally think of as a time to shoot off fireworks. And the reason I'm asking this is because I've lived in Bellevue 43 of my 48 years, and fireworks have always been kind of an issue for me, but they're becoming more and more. And I am a proud employee of the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I work with many veterans. I'm not a veteran, but I know fireworks cause a real problem for me. And I've talked to a lot of people with PTSD, and fireworks are no fun. And I'm not expecting them to be outlawed, but I want some answers. I don't know about you guys, but I get up between 4:15 and 4:45 every day. That's early. I'm guessing you guys get up early too, maybe not that early. However, I deserve, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, I deserve peace and quiet. And so I want to know what my recourse is. Is it to call the police every single time there's an issue? Because I'm going to be calling them an awful lot. I also know that Sarpy County they are allowed to discharge fireworks 365, 24/7. There are no laws. I've talked to Sue Crawford, and she's going to be looking into it, the state legislator, and she's going to hopefully get back to me in fall. Fortunately, that doesn't happen, but I really don't have any recourse when it's out. I live around a bunch of SIDs, and unfortunately, I don't have any recourse then, and I've even tried, and they won't answer my call. But I guess, I don't know where to go from here. I've had numerous correspondence with many of you members, and I thank you, and I appreciate your responses. But I'd like to know a little bit more about fireworks, and I'd like to know why the December 31st thing came about. It's relatively new. Like I said, I've lived here 43 out of 48 years, and it's relatively new, relatively speaking. And I'd like to know why that became okay. So those are my comments and questions.
I can visit with you after the meeting and give you some details on your questions.
Okay. And I actually have a young son who's home by himself for just a few minutes. So he's not that young, though. He's not like a toddler or anything. But I really need to get back to him. So I'm really glad that I was able to swing in and get this taken care of quickly. So is there some way I can contact you, or?
You can certainly call my office, but I can answer all those questions in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So if you got 3 minutes,
Yeah,
but if you need to call, you can call.
Yeah, I'll hang around for a couple minutes. Thank you very much for listening.
Mr. Preister, did you have a question? Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there others that would like to speak? Not, I'll close the Republic request to be heard. Item 14 is adjournment. Councilman Blood.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. And the next council meeting will be on Monday, July the 14th. Thank you. Have a good evening.